Hello and welcome back to the live coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Standard Open here in sunny Caldwell, Ohio at the home store. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We got 6 rounds down, one more of Swiss to bring you, as well as top 8, all coming tonight. So don't go anywhere. Ross, why don't you give us a rundown of what round number 7 is going to look like, as well as the players trying to vie for top 8?
Yeah, so we have a few players who are drawing in this round at the top couple of tables. Michael Belfato, Jared Malone, Parth Brombot, and Miguel Chavez. So congratulations to them. And then we have several tables of players at 5-1 who didn't have good enough tiebreakers to draw in. This was a big tournament for its number of rounds. We were pretty close to the cutoff for round 8, so that means drawing in is harder to do. So a lot of players having to play it out in this last round, get to 6-1 if they want to make the top 8. We are going to be starting with a match of Logan Underwood versus Grayson Nemitz. We saw Grayson all the way back in round 1 defeat Deshaun Johnson.
Yep.
Playing this Azorius Omniscience combo deck, which I know he has played a little bit before as well.
And honestly, it didn't look that good. It just kind of didn't do the thing, and then it did the thing, and then it went infinity.
Yeah, but that's how combo decks work.
I
They don't do
know.
anything
It
until they
looked
do the thing.
so mediocre until the game ended.
Yeah. He struggled to
Yep.
find Omniscience in one of the games, but was able to, find it just in time to win game 1, and then took it game 3 against no disruption from Deshaun in that round. But he has taken one loss over the course of the tournament, still needs one more win to get in the top 8. His opponent, Logan Underwood, we saw a couple rounds ago lose to Domain. That was Jared Malone. He's playing Dimir Midrange. So this is a very interesting matchup. This is generally the combination of things you want against combo: disruption and pressure. Dimir Midrange has those two things. So I tend to like Dimir in this matchup. I think it's going to be important for Nemitz to get game 1. There's not nearly as much disruption in game 1. 3 Deep Cavern Bat, 2 Phantom Interference. There's some removal spells you have to be worried about as
Yeah.
well, but it's pretty easy to set up a second,
Omniscience
to play
Yeah.
through removal that way. So Nemitz knows, his experience with the deck. He knows how to play through this interaction. I think post-board, there's a lot more interaction coming in from
I
Dimir, and the
agree.
games are going to get a lot harder. So for Nemitz, it's get this game and then figure out a way to take one of the post-board games. It might be that Nemitz wants to bring in these Riptide Gearhulks in his sideboard and play Sidestep the Hate that way.
Maybe. I haven't seen Riptide Gearhulk cast yet, so I'm excited. Round 7. Last round of Swiss before we get to our top 8. Let's head on down to the feature match area, and we'll watch Grayson Nimitz against Logan Underwood. Now we have roughly 4 matches playing for, or 5 matches playing for 4 slots, I believe. We're going to have a tiebreaker fight at the end of
There
it.
was a little quirk in the pairings where the bottom X1 in tiebreakers would have been paired down to an X1-1, but they had already been paired in the Swiss, so instead both got paired down to X2s.
Oh. All right. Well, Underwood starts off with Spyglass Siren, plinks in for 1, passes back to Grayson. We know that Underwood does have access to some flash threats, so don't be surprised if you see one of those come down here. And there it is. 2-1 flash. Going to get in some beatdowns here along with that Spyglass Siren.
This is a great start for Logan Underwood. Just get the pressure down. A Kaito here would be even better.
All right, so Grayson here. No responses. Logan going to say take 3, and we'll see what the follow-up is. Map. All right, targeting Spyglass Siren. A post-combat map so that we can kind of bluff or threaten the Kaito. Makes some sense. We do miss out on a damage, though. Going to leave open 2, maybe play another flash threat. We're going to put Preacher. This gives him to the graveyard. Pass back to Grayson. No draw effect on the inset for Grayson, so maybe just has some sort of loot here into combo. No, temporary lockdown is the cast. Going to take care of both these threats.
Okay. Solid reply from Grayson, and no end step threat for Logan, so gonna have to rebuild by tapping out at his own turn. But with Grayson not having a turn 2 spell, no way to put the Omniscience in the graveyard, Logan is safe to tap out this turn.
All right, and tap out we do for that powerful Shoulder of the Apocalypse. Get shouldered on the table. This card was once thought to be one of the strongest cards in Standard and has fallen kind of behind. It's powerful, does a lot of stuff, but you know, it's fighting with like Enduring Curiosity, and you're like in a world with up the beanstalk and overlords everywhere.
Well, it's gonna clock Grayson pretty well here, and one of his ways of putting Omniscience into the graveyard is chart a course.
All right, bulk here from Grayson. We put stock up on the table, and then we decide to undo. Now, perhaps gonna take a different approach. All right, just pass this turn with 4 mana up, so we're gonna gain some life as Logan Underwood. Gonna go back to his turn, and Shieldred is gonna get rumbling.
So if Shieldred comes across for 4 here, Grayson goes to 10, goes to 8 on his draw step from the trigger. Logan can fire up the Soulstone Sanctuary on his next turn, attack for 7, and the Shieldred will kill Grayson on his following draw step. So this can be a 2-turn clock if Logan wants it to, and he doesn't even have to commit more mana for threats on this turn.
All right, here's Spyglass Siren. Gonna make a map.
Yeah, very low commitment, just the 1 mana.
And says go. Doesn't want to expose the shoulder to one of those spells that eat it while attacking. So we're just going to pay the full mana instead.
And here's the problem. You really only gain the 2 mana, right? Aphara's Dispersal is going to get cast on the Shieldred regardless. I suppose if you strongly suspect it's there, there's no reason to save Grayson the 2 mana, but...
Yeah, if you let him have 2 more mana, that's another draw spell he can play, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe it's not the correct play, but it certainly did what it was intended to do, and it looked pretty good.
And Grayson taking advantage of this window with the Shieldred in Logan's hand to deploy Chart a Course.
And there's Omni. Do we have the land?
Looks like another lockdown in hand. It's not a negate, is it? No.
Grayson here, you know, has to be somewhat afraid of Phantom Interference if he does have a Boilo's Awakening. We're going to play stock up, though, and I can't imagine Logan wants to fight over that. We have the ability to use all 4 mana here, too, to reanimate the... Or to animate the... Oh, God. Soulstone Sanctuary.
Not a great selection of cards for Grayson off of this stock up. Just Invasion of Arcavios. Looked like 3 lands, but he took the 2 spells. I'm not sure what the second spell was. That is a good end step for Logan, though. Enduring Curiosity.
Yeah, and now we're going to get to draw 2. And it's going to be really hard for Grayson to win through a wall of interaction.
And Logan can hold up multiple removal spells, and if Grayson doesn't have a second copy of Omniscience, that will serve as a disruption.
Swings for 5, going to draw 2 cards from Enduring Curiosity. Let's get Curiosity on the screen. Enduring Curiosity, 4 mana flash, 4/3. Whenever one of your creatures deals combat damage to an opposing player, draw a card. And then has the Glimmer effect where if it would die, it comes back as a enchantment version of itself without the power and toughness.
So now Logan animating the Soulstone on the end step will threaten an 8-point attack, but the map can make it 9.
Here's Philology Archaeologist. We're going to mill 3, put one of the cards back into our hand.
And that will buy Grayson at least another turn by chump blocking the Enduring Curiosity.
Now, we had the ability to cast Shieldred and did not.
Ooh, Logan with the Tidebinder counter the trigger.
Interesting.
And now, even a chump block on the Curiosity, this could mean... Oh, Logan's a little short. I was thinking he could animate the Soulstone on his own turn, attack with everything. Philology chumps, you take 7, go to 2, and then if Logan had enough mana left over to cast the Shieldred could be the finishing blow, but he's going to be 1 short even with an untapped land of animating Soulstone and casting Shieldred.
Alright, and a tapped land for Grayson. We're going to put one of those battles into the graveyard since we are flush. And now, a kill spell on the Philology. This might be all she wrote. See if Grayson has any defenses here.
And he needs an Aphara's Dispersal to stay alive. The interaction for this Omniscience deck, main deck, is Dispersal, Temporary Lockdown. I think he might have a Confounding Riddle.
I did see that too, and if he was dead on board, I have to imagine the Riddle would have been used to counter the cut down so that we could survive for a turn.
But there's an interesting dilemma for Logan, though. Yeah, he only comes in for 8.
Just use the map. Just use the map.
I would have liked to see a map use as well. I think he's thinking I can play this Shieldred and finish you off that way, but the Shieldred can get countered by Confounding Riddle even with land 7.
Yeah, and you can also play Shieldred and use map. So I think you always want to like present lethal for like the least amount of expended resources. And to threaten lethal with map token, I think would have been very good. Here's Shieldred. We have the Confounding Riddle. We'll see if Logan has the counterspell. Phantom Interference on the backswing. Shieldred comes in.
Does Grayson have the Afaris Dispersal on the upkeep?
Upkeep, draw, dead. Game 1 goes to Logan Underwood. Dimir Fairies. Dimir Fairies. Come on. Call Dimir Flash. It's okay. It's okay. I just noticed. All right. Very, I guess, kind of scripted game number 1. Logan with Dimir mid. Just really, tricky, disruptive. Ultimately took it down with some flash.
I'm not sure if Grayson ever found a Boiler's Awakening in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big problem because there was no counterspell, I think, drawn for Logan.
Mm-hmm.
It was just him basically playing against a mediocre control deck and grinding through the limited interaction that Nemetz had.
Yeah. All right, well, as these players reach for their sideboard, Nemetz is going to need some help. He's playing that Omni combo deck. Ross, what does he have in the sideboard that could help out in this matchup?
So his sideboard is 1 Defabricate, 1 Exercise, 2 Get Lost, 3 Grand Abolisher, 2 Negate, 4 Riptide Gearhulk, 1 Season of Weaving, 1 Unnerving Grasp. The Season of Weaving and Unnerving Grasp are part of the combo, so they're staying in the sideboard. The cards that I think are slam dunks are the Grand Abolishers. In a deck that wants to play on your end step a lot of the time, you can just deploy Grand Abolisher on turn 6 and then follow it up with the Boiler's Awakening. No matter how much interaction they have, the Abolisher will stop it all. And then you can also bring in Get Lost, which I think is a great way to answer Kaito. And that's a very important threat from the Dimir side. So those 5, I think, are slam dunks. It's a real question as to whether or not Grayson wants Riptide Gearhulk in this matchup. There are lists of this deck that decline to play any sort of sidestep threat, so you can play a fair game. Some people prefer to be on Gearhulk. Obviously, we know what side of that debate Nemetz is on. But Gearhulk, can act as a way to remove a Ghost Vacuum. It can be a win condition in and of itself. It's also a great blocker. It's a 2/5 double striker. It's hard to attack through. It's an artifact creature, so it can't get Go for the Throated. It can't get cut down. It can't get anointed. It's very difficult for this Dimir deck to answer a Riptide Gearhulk.
Seems very strong. The Gearhulks in general just look pretty powerful.
Yeah.
All right, on the other side of the table, Logan Underwood playing that Dimir midrange deck. Looks like he's also got some Gearhulks. Why don't you tell us about his sideboard and how you think he's going to approach this matchup?
Yeah, he has a great sideboard for the matchup. It is 1 Anoint with Affliction, 3 Duress, 1 Urtai Resurrected, 1 Fairy Mastermind to supplement 2 in the main, 2 Ghost Vacuum, 1 Gix's Command to supplement 1 in the main, 2 Oil Deep Gearhulk, 1 Shieldred to supplement 1 in the main, 1 the Filigree Silex, and 2 Tishana's Tidebinder to supplement 1 in the main. The Duresses, excellent. The Urtai Resurrected, excellent. The Fairy Mastermind, excellent. The Ghost Vacuums, excellent.
Oh.
The Oil Deep Gearhulks, I'll be a step short of excellent, just because it costs 4 mana, but they're still very good.
Right, and it's just all you want is anything that interacts, right?
Yes.
And you want to get a lot of your creature removal out, and you just want anything that says, I'm going to poke your hole, or poke through the hole in your defenses a little bit.
And I would also consider the Tishana's Tidebinders, just to be able to play more at instant speed.
Yeah.
I think it's a much more relevant threat than something like Flood Pit's Drowner.
It can also stop the trigger from the battle, right?
Mm.
So if your opponent taps out for battle, if that's the only thing they have.
And it stops Temporary Lockdown. So there's some applications for it, many more than with Flood Pit's Drowner. That said, if you're expecting Riptide Gearhulk, maybe you need Drowner as an actual way to remove one from the battlefield.
Yeah, I think like Preacher of the Schism's kind of mid. It's really good against creature decks, pretty weak against non-creature decks.
I would prefer Tidebinder to Preacher as a 3-drop.
And you got like cut downs, go for throats. Most of these can come out. Even though you can kill the Abuelo from Abuelo's Awakening, they almost always put another Omniscience into play.
You need to be able to kill Grand Abolisher, though. So you need to leave in some removal for Abolisher.
All right. Well, it looks like we're ready for game number 2, and we're underway. So Grayson is going to lead off with Meticulous Archive, keeps on top. Logan Underwood's turn 1. Darkslick Shores into Duress. Take a look at the hand. We have 1 spell. It's the battle, and then it looks like 5 lands. And I could not tell you what that last card is unless it's a creature. I don't
So
know.
Verge, a Waste, a Plains, a Cavern, and a Philology, maybe? I think it's a blue card.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Invasion of Arcavios to the graveyard, and yeah, Grayson deploys the Philology Archaeologist. Mills Omniscience,
And we
so...
can choose to leave it in the graveyard, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to do just that.
And now you get a 1 for it. Better blocker. But very little going on in hand, and Logan knows that he should try to take advantage of these next 2 turns.
Woo! Ghost Vacuum comes down, and Logan Underwood's got to be breathing a sigh of relief that Omniscience is not being awakened by the Abuelo anytime soon. Attack for 1 does Grayson Nimitz. And we're going to go ahead and eat that Omniscience.
Okay, so now really doesn't have to fear much of anything from Grayson, just about deploying some threats and getting some pressure. And this is a game where Grayson will probably hope he has the Gear Hulks coming. Could remove Ghost Vacuum, it could actually win the game by itself when he is very far away from the combo.
All right, we're going to chart a course to just draw 2.
Yeah, love this play. With the Ghost Vacuum on board, there's no point in discarding Omniscience. You'd rather keep it in your hand until you can find an answer to the Graveyard Hate.
All right, Logan on Incept exiles 1 thing, and then I'm going to go ahead and play Flood Pitch Drowner. Puts a stun counter on the Philology. Going to go back to Logan.
Looks like Grayson did find a stock up. That is a nice one for next turn. But now, does Logan have Enduring Curiosity?
Just deals 2, doesn't put it on the table, but might have it on the end step. Might just want to hold up a bunch of mana. Another stock up found, and Grayson's got a lot of gas, and we know he had a lot of lands to start. So now it's just about assembling an answer to the Ghost Vacuum and then the combo itself. Maybe we just get all the way to where we hardcast Omniscience for 10 mana? That seems sick.
It's doable. Oh, Grayson found a Gear Hulk too, so jams the Gear Hulk on 5 with Cavern of Souls, so I think this is uncounterable.
That ability, though, is counterable.
And this is going to take all the abilities away, so no longer Prowess, no longer Double Strike.
2/5.
Just vanilla 2/5,
Artifact
which,
creature.
granted, still is a brick wall against a 2/1 and a 3/2.
Okay. Riptide Gear Hulk looks like it was going to be pretty great, but Tishana's Tidebinder makes it look a bit worse. Gonna go back to Underwood. Land number 5. Says go. Well, let's get in there, Riptide Gear Hulk. All we gotta do is kill the Tishana's Tidebinder, and then we got a big boy.
And this is the power of the Omniscience deck. It becomes a combo control deck, even more so after sideboarding. It's already a little bit like that in game 1, but after sideboarding, it's not just race to the combo as quickly as possible. Stock up plus interaction buys you a lot of time.
All right, so stock up, gonna refuel for Grayson. Hopefully digging for more Gear Hulks and such.
I think he found another Gear Hulk. And,
Yeah, I can't quite tell what that card is. I was thinking it was like a get lost, but
and if that one resolves, I imagine it will be targeting the Tishana's Tidebinder to unlock the first one. And Grayson says, I don't need to combo. Keep your Ghost Vacuum. How are you beating these?
Logan into turn, gonna flash in. Enduring Curiosity, no response from Grayson. We're gonna go back to Logan.
Still not a great attack for Logan. If he sends in with everything, he loses the Tidebinder and the Flood Pit Drowner, deals 4 and draws 1 card. If he sends with just the 4/3, it gets cleanly blocked by the 2/5. So
what you're saying is this Gear Hulk's pretty good.
Yeah, Gear Hulk is it being an artifact and not being go for the throat bullet is a real kick in the pants.
Doesn't die to nowhere to run. Doesn't die to go for a throat. Doesn't die to Anointed with Affliction. Doesn't die to cut down. Seemed pretty good. I guess that's why it's in the sideboard, though. It's really good against black removal. Pretty weak against the exile removal and sweepers. What's that, Ross? I don't know. 2 mana.
Filigree Silex?
Is that the Ratchet Bomb?
Yeah.
Ooh. Interesting.
That's my best guess. There's one of in the sideboard.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily look like that from the name, but it's hard to see.
It might be a alternate version of the Filigree Silex or something. Ooh, another Gear Hulk. Let's see if this one resolves. And it's going to kill that Tidebinder.
Interesting sequencing because now it doesn't get the prowess, so it's still just a 2/5. But I guess that's still not cleanly blockable.
2/5 double strike.
Yeah. So Logan gonna fire up the Soulstone Sanctuary to get a double block in, and the Gearhulk will trade for one of these creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Filigree Silex does destroy only non-land permanents, so on 0 counters cannot be used to destroy the animated Soulstone. Grayson decides to take out the land. I like that play.
All right, Logan gonna go back to his turn. Draws. Main phase exile of the Gearhulk. It looks like
Yeah.
maybe we're about to pop the Ghost Vacuum then.
Might want to get the other Gearhulk first, but that's a good late game plan.
Don't understand what is happening.
Oh, I think that's a Grand Abolisher.
Oh!
It's not Silex.
Now
Okay.
everything makes a lot more sense.
Yes. And that's also why you have to Ghost Vacuum main phase. Can't use abilities on the opposing turn.
Okay, good call. That changes everything. So Grand Abolisher doing exactly what you said it would do, Ross.
Yeah, and now the Abolisher limits the effectiveness of Ghost Vacuum. All it means is Grayson has to set up the combo and execute the combo all in one turn.
Yeah.
And he found Abuelo's Awakening and Omniscience off this stock up. He just needs a way to get the Omniscience into the graveyard.
Grand Abolisher. Wow. Card's been through the ages. Oh, that's a cool pick. Human Cleric. What's that from? The Vault? The Vault set? I don't know. It's got a Vault on it, doesn't it? Alright, Grand Abolisher is locking down Logan's ability to interact on Grayson's turn, making this very one-dimensional. I can't believe it works against Ghost Vacuum, too. That's so cool. That just, like, has never come up before, that part. For me, anyway.
Okay.
8 mana now. Getting close to Hardcast Omni.
Yeah, that's also true.
And it says go. Maybe that's the plan. Gonna go
Don't
back
think
to
he has
Logan.
much of a follow-up for it, but once the Omniscience is in play, it doesn't take that much to...
Yeah, a moment of truth or whatever is good enough usually.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Vacuum in
So
some ghosts. Gonna pop
Logan
it.
gonna get a Riptide Gearhulk of his own. These are 1/1s, though.
Yeah, 1/1 spirits. Flying versions. Let's get Ghost Vacuum on the screen. This is a cool card. We don't get to see the 6 pop happen too often. When it does, it's always great fun. Activated sorcery. We're gonna Gearhulk the Gearhulk. And then we're going to Philology, mill 3. Found all creatures. Oops, all creatures.
Rough. Would have loved to have found a removal spell for the Abolisher, but maybe Logan brought out those removal spells.
Yeah, and maybe just wants to clear the big blocker so that we can start attacking and drawing cards. Grayson, looks like we have a Get Lost.
So that's going to hit the Curiosity. 2 maps coming for Logan Underwood. And, yeah. With the 1/4 Philology jumps in front of the Flood Pit's Drowner. And is this Abolisher also jumping in front of the Tidebinder?
I
No,
guess
yeah,
not, but
took
I
3
thought it
card.
might to prevent the card draw from the Glimmer. Did he miss a draw off
No,
of the Glimmer?
He drew it.
Okay. Yeah, it's just off screen. You can't quite see it, but there is the flipped Enduring Curiosity.
And
Duress
looks like,
reveal?
yeah, sacked a map on the Gearhulk. And then revealed Duress. That's a good one. Ooh, Moment of Truth. But we know the hand is Abuelo's Awakening Omniscience.
So we are looking for something that loots. Because we already have the
Interesting.
Abuelos.
Another Gearhulk. That's the one that he knew was there.
Right.
So you could Gearhulk. The Gearhulk that's in play for Logan is a token, correct?
I believe so. 1/1 spirit token. It's like I think it's
No, no.
technically
Those are the card. Put each creature card exiled. Okay. So you
okay.
could Gearhulk the Gearhulk back on top and draw the second one again if you wanted to. Looks like Grayson instead going for the other copy of. Oh, he went for the other copy of Moment of Truth, but now he can Abuelo's Awakening the Gearhulk and make it gigantic. It's going to have 3 counters on it. So this is a 5/8 and still Gearhulk my own Gearhulk back into my deck.
Funny, funny. Let's get Abuela's Awakening on screen
And
because I think it does shrink the creature that you bring back, right? Or is it?
it makes it a 0/0 with X counters on it. But it costs X 3 and a white. So Grayson cast it for X equals 3, paid 7 mana, and now it's it's a 1/1 with 3 counters. So it's it's not going to be a 5/8. It's going to be a 4/4. Sorry.
But 4/4 flying double
Yeah.
strike, pretty powerful.
Prowess.
Yeah, duress you sees
Yeah, do the
hard
link
cast
out.
Omni coming. Needs to land off the top.
Yeah, sees that Grayson is only 1 mana away from hard casting Omniscience, but if you put it in the graveyard, Grayson can use Moment of Truth to dig for Abuelo's Awakening.
All right. I think this is just going to be Grayson's game. It's just going to take a little while with all these Gear Hulks, and Logan might pack it in sooner rather than later so that we can finish the match. We'll see. This Gear Hulk chain is pretty gross.
Takes the Moment of Truth, because now if Grayson draws a land and casts Omniscience, he has nothing to do with it at least.
Yeah.
But there's no real way for Logan to break through that Gearhulk anymore. He's lost all of his major threats, so he has no pressure.
Yeah, and it's a 4/4 with double strike, so it'll chop down any of these creatures that come across. Oh, we're going to tap it down, though. Stun it.
Okay. So now you have a 3/2 and a 1/4 attacking into a 1/4 and a 2/2. So it's either let me draw a card or trade away your Abolisher. Oh no, yeah, Grayson has two clean blocks.
Double bonks. So the Flaggy has flying also from the Abuela, or from the
yeah, and it's a
Ghost
1/1
Vacuum.
because that was off the Ghost Vacuum. You're right. So that's a 2/2 flyer. That one Grayson cannot block. So 2 damage coming across. Grayson to 13. No? Oh yeah, they're just making clear.
Yep, and we do get to draw a card, so we pick that up. We got to main phase everything though.
It's a Shieldred. Another Curiosity. Okay, Curiosity.
Okay, back to Grayson. Stun counter comes off. It has temporary lockdown off the top, but doesn't deal with.
And actually, it deals with more of Grayson's board than it does Logan's.
Yeah, lockdown and Abolisher together.
That was probably the worst draw on the deck for Grayson Nemitz.
What about another Omniscience?
That
was way better, actually. Never mind. I take it back.
That's about the same. Now he's got to figure out how to live. There's a big attack coming across. Looks like 11. And you can block the Tidebinder with the... It might be time to trade off the Tidebinder.
I think so.
Or the Grand Abolisher for the Tidebinder. And then your 1/4 Philology blocks the Floodpits Drowner. You take 5, but Logan... Or 6, but Logan draws 4 cards. Okay.
Confounding Riddle. Okay.
That's a good one. Look at the top 4. That's much better than Temporary Lockdown. So that was the draw for turn. What can he find in the top 4 cards? Another Gearhulk?
Yep.
So can Gearhulk the 4/3 Curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have good blocks on everything but the 2/2 flyer. And you're going to untap with 2 Gearhulks.
All right. Logan draws for turn. Let's see if we start with the attack with the Philology. Fun game. Gearhulk's great.
This is the best I think I've ever seen Gearhulk be.
All right, because of this Grand Abolisher, does Grand Abolisher let you... do you have to main phase everything on your own turn also?
You just can't do things on the
Opponent's
controller
turn?
of Abolisher's turn.
Okay. Yeah, during
Yeah.
your turn, your opponent's stuff doesn't work. Cool.
Okay, another Flood Pits Drowner. So this can tap down the untapped Gear Hulk and allow a bigger attack.
Yeah, and we can also use the first Flood Pitch Runner to eat that Gear Hulk.
But there's still the 4/4 Flying Gear Hulk at the top of Nemesis' board.
Yowie. Oh, we're going to go after the Abolisher. I want to get that out of here so we can interact. Shuffle it in. Put them both back in the water.
Okay. So that tells me that Logan has an interactive card in his hand that he wants to be able to access on Nemesis' turn. But at this point, these Abolishers are huge threats.
Yeah, these Gear Hulks are just going to chew them up.
Yeah, Gear Hulk, sorry.
All right, we're going to attack for 2 flying. Draw a card. And we're going to pass back. So, no more sun counters. Grayson here. Big draw step. Looks like I get lost. Didn't get a great look at it. No more Grand Abolisher on the table, so Logan's interaction is now turned on, but needs to deal with these 2 Gear Hulks. They're both big and double striking. One's a 4/4 flyer, the other's a 2/5. They both have prowess. And they both have double strike.
Giving it a long think.
These players are playing for a top 8 berth, so they're hesitant to act too quickly. Swinging for 8. Says no blocks, gonna take 8.
Goes
Down to 10.
very mastermind the play. So this gives Underwood another flyer.
Okay. See what we can do. 2 flyers means 2 more cards. 2 more cards can be anything.
Even be a boat.
Is Logan just gonna steal this game? These Gear Hulks just not gonna be enough? Army of Wasps.
I mean, this is only a 3-turn clock in the air, and Grayson can just slow down and leave back his Flying Gear Hulk.
Yeah, but is it?
Oh no, that one doesn't
I
fly.
think it's
that
like,
one's just a 4.
but I also think it's too late for that. I think that the 2 extra cards coming off of the Curiosity right now are about to turn into something extremely weird.
It is flying. Boiler's Awakening gives flying. So, Grayson has an onboard way of containing this battlefield if he wants it. And I think he's winning the race. If he just casts a spell next turn, the Gear Hulk is lethal in the air.
Assuming nothing is drawn from these 2 fresh cards. All right, here's a Get Lost, and we're going to target the Glimmer. This is a very heads-up play from Grayson, so once this is destroyed, we'll get some maps, but no cards off the top, and 4 damage is not nearly as scary as 4 damage and 2 cards. I'm back on Team Grayson.
Okay, so Nemetz down to 7.
Looks like we're going to go ahead and pop some maps. Filter to top of the deck.
This doesn't... Ooh, interesting one, but Logan knows that Grayson has Omniscience in hand at 9 mana. So I'm not sure how relevant a Ghost Vacuum is at this point.
Nah, I'd bin it, and then I'd pop another blood, or another map token unless I got something better to do.
Also, unfortunately for Logan, 2 maps does not make his Flying Force lethal next turn. It gets him to 6 power in the air, with Grayson at 7 life.
Yeah, if Grayson gets too aggressive, though, we might find a crackback if we can get the Flodgy tapped or off the table. Okay.
Finds another curiosity off the second map sacrifice. Do you want that one, Logan Underwood? Looks like the answer is yes.
Says go. Back to Grayson. We can threaten lethal if we attack with both of our Gear Hulks, so a block will have to come in. We're going to start here with Stock Up. Nice top deck.
Strong draw.
Top 5 cards coming.
So now Logan needs to have a way to answer this flying Gear Hulk, or he's dead. I see Invasion of Arcavios and another card going into Grayson's hand.
Okay, let's see if he sends for 10.
Has a land as the other take, so he has land 10 for Omniscience next turn. Now he's going to play the Invasion. And what does he find? Maybe a negate?
He knows the Glimmer is coming.
Phantom Interference. Counter unless you pay 2 and to make a flying blocker.
Wow. So if Grayson had not cast this Invasion first and just sent. Okay, I guess we could have still made a blocker.
Yeah.
Never mind, but. Phantom Interference is a nice one. Let's get it on screen. Starting off with 1 has Spree. For 1 more mana, you can counter a spell unless they pay 2 more. And for 3 mana, you can make a 2/2 Flying Spirit. Somewhat versatile card.
And now I think Grayson needs to hold back. Because there's the Soulstone Sanctuary on Underwood's battlefield. If he fires up Soulstone and attacks with all 5 creatures, you need to block all the non-2 power ones. So you need to block the 4/3 flyer, the Fairy Mastermind, the Tidebinder, and the Soulstone Sanctuary. Which you can do, and then take 4 going to 3. And Logan would have to tap out for Enduring Curiosity. I think Grayson has this next turn. I guess Logan can just deploy the Curiosity, attack with 4 creatures, and draw at least 1 card.
Grayson finds Season of Weaving from the sideboard.
Oh no, he has the 2/2 Spirit. I forgot that because it's just a backwards card. So he can draw 2 cards here in the air. But then he needs to find both an answer to the combo and a way to stop the Gear Hulk. Because Grayson next turn can play Omniscience and then go off with Season of Weaving.
1, 2, 3. So 3 creatures. There's 6 attackers, right? So 3 are getting through. So if it's 2/1, 2/2, and Flodgy.
Yeah,
you eat the rest.
There's 3 2-power creatures, and it's because Logan didn't evenly distribute the counters from the maps. He put both counters on and explored with the Fairy Mastermind. If he just puts a counter on the Flodgy and the Fairy Mastermind, this is a lethal attack. And instead, he's 1 point short.
And I think this is a face-up kill, too.
Yeah.
He knows there's 10 mana, there's Omniscience, and there's the Puppy Paws.
I think what Logan needed to do was make an attack with 2 of the flyers and try to find a way to stop the combo.
I agree.
With the
and play the Enduring Curiosity.
And leave back 1 flyer to block. Otherwise, you can draw 2 cards by attacking with all the flyers, but then you need answer to combo plus answer to Gear Hulk. And
that's a bigger ask.
Yeah.
2 answers and 3 cards as opposed to 1 answer and 2 cards. Something like that.
Well, it's 2 answers and 2 cards because he blocks 1 of the attackers. That's why you send in 2, you get 1 card, and it has to be a way to answer. And it had to be a counterspell, I guess, or a duress.
Okay, well here's Omniscience, and Grayson has it. We know the card in hand for Logan.
He's just going to draw with the Fairy Mastermind. This is even better. Because now he gets 2 cards, and doesn't lose any creatures attacking. But
he says Omni resolves, and there's second Omni. What I say at the beginning of this game, Ross. Maybe he'll just hard cast Omniscience.
Yeah, and now Season of Weaving should be a kill. Interestingly, because of the double pair down situation, a draw could end up being could be beneficial to one of these players. Because I can tell you from our results that Franklin Folks, who is the X1 that got paired down, won his match. Mike Badicher, who was the X1 who got paired down, lost. So, looks like we're going to have, if this match comes to a natural conclusion, we'll have a clean top 8. But if they draw, one of them will get in.
Okay.
Based on tiebreakers. And they are under 13 minutes.
Yeah, there's also, he just picked up 5 cards for Confounding Riddle also. He played it like stock up on accident.
Okay.
So, we're going to get a judge over here. Grayson likely going to get warning for looking at extra cards. The fix will be some sort of card goes back, and then we resolve Confounding Riddle as normal. It'll take just a minute or two for bookkeeping, as well as to ensure game integrity. But once we have that, this game will likely come to a conclusion this turn.
Yeah.
All right. So, assuming Grayson wins this turn, which I think is very likely, what does game 3 look like? And can both players still win in a short game?
Both players certainly could win a short game. I think it's unlikely for Grayson to. Logan would have to have a pretty weak hand that just kind of is vulnerable to a fast combo. Maybe one that just has a lot of pressure, like a turn 3 Kaido, and then the Kaido doesn't find interaction kind of hand. But Logan could easily have something like turn 1 Siren, turn 2 Fairy Mastermind, turn 3 Kaido you on the play, and then, Duress plus Ghost Vacuum plus Counterspell, and go from there.
All right, Grayson receiving the appropriate penalty, but should be unaffecting the conclusion of this game. We're going to resolve the Confounding Riddle. 1 card to hand, 3 to the graveyard.
I can also tell you that Jacob Smith defeated Josh Moscow on one of the backup tables. That is Golgari Beanstalk defeating Dimir Bounce.
Nice. And is that top 8 too then, huh?
Yes, they were another one of our X1s. And we have one other match still going, Jesse Hill against John Tagliarini. Not reached a conclusion in that match, which is Esper Pixie against Domain.
Okay, so we're kind of spinning the wheels here, but I mean, Grayson just still has 5 cards in hand. I think 4 of them are spells. Boiler's Awakening can get back maybe a Gearhulk or another Omniscience, or I don't even know. Omniscience number 3. There we go. I don't know how much prowess is going on.
Okay. So in order to get the Season of Weaving loop going, the 2 energy mode only copies artifacts and creatures to create a token, and then the 3 energy mode, which is bounce all non-land, non-token permanents, is how you end up looping. So you actually need to make a creature version with a Boiler's Awakening in order to combo with Season of Weaving. But Grayson has accomplished that part of the combo. And now, has Grand Abolisher, this is just over. And if you're Logan Underwood, buddy, you don't have much time.
Maybe he thinks he's in with a draw. Maybe he's fine with a draw. Look, there is some value in making your opponent kill you, okay?
Yeah, I agree. This is not one of those scenarios.
Well,
this is one where it's valuable to save time and go to game 3. You're going to be on the play. I think you have a structural edge in the matchup.
how big are they? They're both lethal. Come on. Just block both. Oh, wait, one of them's on the ground. So, well, Flying Blocker goes in front of one, and then Tidebinder goes in front of the other one.
Logan does have better breakers than Grayson Nimitz going into the round, but they're close enough that it could change. About 1.5 percentage points.
Okay, well, we have Omniscience, we have the World's Fair, but we can't quite close it, so we're going to pass it back. Logan Underwood, can you win? Has Grayson mostly tapped out? There are 3 blockers, and he has 4 attackers. One of those blockers is a Gearhulk, though. I think it's just a 1/1 Gearhulk, though. From a free Abuelo. Sanctuary. Did we undo? We undid Sanctuary. Okay. Here's Kaido. We're going to -2. The big Gear Hulk. It's done for a while. And Grayson didn't kill you last turn, so, you know. Mm-hmm.
Did the Season of Weaving get used and not rebought somewhere?
Yeah, it's in the graveyard. It was
Okay.
cast to do something early on after the Omniscience because it was the only cast. And then I think it was just draw some cards or something.
Yeah, and without a creature version, he actually couldn't execute the loop. Okay,
Right.
so it wasn't a deterministic kill last turn, and Grayson is trying to get over the finish line with these Gear Hulks.
Two damage from the Shieldred. Down to 5. Never count Logan Underwood out. Make him win the game, Ross. Come from the Reed Duke school of attacking and blocking.
Yeah. Interesting that Grayson decided to go for the Season of Weaving a couple turns ago off that invasion then. Because if he had decided to go for the Unnerving Grasp, that could have looped with the invasion and the Omniscience to just make a pile of manifests.
Yeah.
And win the game that way. And now he's in a much tighter spot.
All right, Surveil Land. 3 Omniscience in play. He knows it all, except how to win. Any Gear Hulks coming? 10 life, probably not, huh? I feel like Grayson's getting squeezed. Card draw effects also not nearly as good now, huh?
Oh, they're still free.
They still deal you 2 damage.
There's not many that actually draw cards. Moment of Truth doesn't. Stock Up doesn't. It's really just Chart of Course.
Yeah.
Found Riddle Digs without it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Fine. Grayson's back up to 7 somehow. I'm not sure. I think they did 2 life gained for Grayson. They should have done 2 life gained for Logan. So I believe the life total should be 12 to 5. If we could get a confirmation on that, I appreciate it. This is maybe the last turn of the game or next to it. Okay, we got it. We got it. Thank you. All right, so we got what? 4 blockers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attackers. Wonder if Kaito should just stun the big Gear Hulk instead of attacking. Oh, the Omniscience is a 1/1 flyer as well. Okay, so we have 1 more blocker than I thought. Okie dokie. Grayson gonna line up some blocks to try to survive. At least 1 creature is getting through if he puts a blocker on everything. Looks like the Gear Hulk is gonna step in front of the Kaito that's threatening to eat it. Shoulder getting chump blocked by an Omniscience. 1/4 on a 3/3. 1/1 double strike on a 2/2 and a chump block, I think, on a Grand Abolish on a 4.
Yeah, so just Flood Pit Drowner coming across. Grayson will drop to 3 and go to 1 on his draw step from the Shieldred trigger. But he is losing most of his board.
Yep.
Logan gets to draw a card off of the enchantment Enduring Curiosity.
Sells access to 4 mana too because of the statue. Now, we're going to go ahead and Flood Pistrunner away the Gear Hulk and shuffle it in. And Deep Cavern Bat takes Abuelos. So Grayson, 1 draw, 2 Omniscience in play. Logan's got to be sweating it. All right.
Got to be a good one for Grayson.
Huh! Do they think it's game 3? You know? It's a ground ball, sure. That's not going to do it. Grayson Nimitz with 3 Omniscience in play at one point. Gonna fall. And Logan Underwood's gonna punch his ticket to the top 8. Maybe even as the first seed at 6-1.
Well,
Somewhere up there close.
Michael Belfato played out at table 1 and is now 6-0-1.
Ooh, Belfato. What a monster. I love Belfato, dude. That's great.
No number 1 seed for Underwood, but I think he'll be happy enough with the top 8
He should have
berth.
just conceded, Ross.
I didn't realize that the season of weaving was gone.
Okay, that's fair.
It got used early in the chain in order to set up the Abuela's Awakening, and so he didn't have it afterward.